say that based on our evidence in our air quality monitoring that we reviewed for weeks and months, do not feel that we should have had a wider evacuation and uprooted hundreds of residents from their homes.
How many kids were doing intercepts at my house?
Nobody was at my house.
Nobody was at mine.
A big part of the problem here is that there was no reality check. There was no visiting with the community to get their feedback. There was no checking to see whether or not the poison control hotline was actually obtaining that information, meeting their needs and sharing information. That didn't occur. And as much as we appreciate these other activities that the health department have been so instrumental in, there's still a few questions here that are waiting to be answered.
Yes,
Jeff,
sorry.
you have to respond.
A long time. Yes,
Go ahead.
yes, ma'am.
Well, one of my first issues is you were talking about the shopping center and all the exhaust and everything that was let off from vehicles and the traffic in and out. Well, I've lived in Mayflower 28 years and I've always shopped in that shopping center, and never once in one of its busiest days during Christmas or Easter or Halloween or any of those instances have I ever walked in that parking lot and got nauseous, headaches, vomiting, and dizziness just from walking through that parking lot to go to a store. So I do believe that your account for the exhaust and everything is actually quite null for the incidents that the chemicals that were in the tar sands that spilled through our town are extremely that much more concentrated and toxic. Number two, you measure in parts per million, but if you do just a little bit of research like I have since I live in Mayflower, these chemicals are toxic at the parts per billion range, not parts per million range. So that does not adequately actually assess the environment or the people in the community in the parts per million range. Number three is, how long will the health assistance continue?
Okay. So you made a statement, and you know, what you're asking is a technical question, and it needs to be amplified. And what I don't want to get into are the highly technical questions that you're asking, parts per million, parts per billion. But I will tell you that I'd be happy to talk with you, or I can get you to Lori Simmons, who is our expert, and then you can go over, you all can discuss this, but I'd like to not get into that right now. You're talking about parts per billion, parts per million, and what the toxicity is.
Do you have her contact information?
Yes, I do, and I'll give it to you, sure.